21 hours ago, the full interview, half an hour, so you know that's gonna take me 4. That's what I wanted to watch now. I think that takes precedence over my my ego of seeing what Kanon said about me saying about him. We can do it. We can do the full like human centipede of content creation in 2025 some other day. But I really wanted to make sure that I caught up on the full interview. So let's do that. Yeah. So I guess I might as well just do a quick recap. We recently checked out Kanon's interview with the Chrono Odyssey devs, and he had like a short segment, 5 minutes, where he talks specifically about pay to win, which is a big subject in MMOs, especially for the Western audience. And basically the responses we got were the best you could wish for. And Kanon's continued like questioning was awesome. A lot of times people just ask, is the pay to win? The dev says, no, there's no current plans for pay to win. And then, okay, yeah. And then they're like, oh, well, we never really said that, blah, blah, right? And then it comes pay to win anyway. So Kanon's questions were amazing in like digging down what do you mean pay to win? What is the plans for monetization then, etc., etc. And this is the full interview that we're gonna check out. It was just a 5-minute segment before, but he did a full interview with the lead dev of Chrono Odyssey. And yeah, this just dropped, so I am super excited for this. Can't wait to try out the closed beta in just a couple of weeks. And again, like I've said it before, for me, everything I've seen so far looks great. There are right now only 2 things I'm really like need to see, and that won't be until closed beta. And it's 1, is the combat good? And 2, is the game fun to play? Is the gameplay loop actually fun? So yeah, well, let's see what they have to say, and yeah.
The time is finally here. The interview that you have all been waiting for. I had an opportunity.
And let me know if volume needs to be adjusted.
To go meet with the Chrono Odyssey lead and ask him a bunch of questions. There were 0 restrictions with the questions, no angles, just an honest interview. In case you missed the teaser, want to quickly add some context here. All the questions in this interview came directly from me. We had a huge time constraint and I really wasn't sure if we were going to even get all the questions in. So to save time, I had all the questions written down on a script, which I read off of so that we wouldn't have to waste time in between questions translating. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I'm live every day and I'm going to be playing a lot of the beta non-stop on the 20th. Probably a 24-hour stream, and if I have keys to give out, I will certainly be doing so via my stream. I hope you enjoy.
Well, you guys wanted juice, and today you're getting some juice. I am here in Seoul, South Korea at the Chrono studio, and I'm joined by a special guest, the man that is in the driver's seat when it comes to Chrono Odyssey. Please, if you don't mind, an introduction.
저는
Hello, I'm Yong Sang-tae, executive producer for the Chrono Odyssey project.
크로노 오디세이 프로젝트의 개발 총괄 PD 윤상태입니다. 게임 개발을
My role involves setting the direction during the development process, ensuring all developers share the same vision.
진행하면서 개발자들이 한 방향을 볼 수 있도록 방향성을 제시하는 역할을 하고 있습니다.
All right, so question number 1. A lot of games throw in the MMORPG label to its game while trying to deliver a Souls-like or even a survival-like game. Every single one of those games is not considered a real MMO to any real MMO player. Chrono tries to deliver a Souls-like vibe, especially with the combat, but to me, it for sure felt like a fully fledged MMORPG first.
Also, I believe Kanon has played the earlier versions, but that's under NDA as far as I'm aware, right? I think there's some people that's played an earlier version, closed beta, alpha, whatever of this game. I think Kanon has played it, right? So that's why he can make these comments. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I think that's the case.
We're seeing this being labeled as an online action RPG rather than an MMORPG in some areas.
Yeah, okay,
Is it safe for us to assume that this is truly an MMORPG?
네, 말씀하신 것처럼
As you mentioned, Chrono Odyssey is an open world action. Okay. Open world, that's great. Action, we love to see it, right?
크로노 오디세이는 오픈월드 액션 MMORPG입니다. 하나씩 구분해서 설명을 하면
Explain one by one.
오픈월드라는 부분은
The open world means our world.
저희 이제 월드를 마음껏 로딩
It's designed so players can freely explore without any loading screens. Well, yeah, but as long as there's stuff to do in the world as well, right?
없이 탐험할 수 있게끔 만들어져 있는 월드고요. 그리고 액션에 관련돼서는
And regarding to the action part, we place significant emphasis on action gameplay.
저희는 액션성에 대한 부분을 되게 강조하고 있습니다. 그 부분에서
We incorporate mechanics that require precise timing,
타이밍이랑 그리고 컨트롤을 요구하는
and those control that involve action.
그런 액션을 지금 담아내고 있고요. MMO의 부분에서는
As for the MMO aspect,
RPG의 부분에서는 기존의 멀티플레이의
you think that as a game designed to preserve the enjoyable multiplayer experience,
즐거운 경험들을 그대로 살리면서 기존에 있었던
while incorporating ways to reduce the fatigue typically associated with traditional MMORPGs. I wonder what fatigue he's referring to here.
MMORPG의 피로감을 줄일 수 있는 방법을 녹여내고자 만들어진 게임이라고 봐주시면 될 것 같습니다.
My experience with Chrono Odyssey was that this was more of a sandbox rather than a traditional theme park. The progression from the beginning gave the player real freedom with how to progress to max level. Even the main story.
They talked about that earlier, right? In the in the dev talk that we also covered, and apparently you can like craft and things like that to level up. And there's going to be the only PvP elements they talked about in this game for now at least was some PvE VP. So no, not like hard PvP, but I covered that as well. I don't think that's necessarily a bad starting point for a game. A lot of these games that brand themselves as being MMO, RPG, PvP focused games, they end up fizzling out and dying because they focus on all of that, and then the game around it just doesn't work, right? And a lot of times to have a successful PvP MMO, you need to have the game working and then the PvP being within that. But yeah, like different ways of leveling up. The truth is there's going to be one way that's the most efficient, and that's what people are going to do. But at least like early on when you're getting in, you're starting playing, it's fun just like not trying to min-max and being able to do the kind of things that you think is cool to level up. That is great, but unfortunately it turns into just min-maxing down the road.
Quest simply had you go from one chrono gate or boss fight to another, and if you weren't good enough or strong enough to clear it, you go level up at your own discretion, which is very Souls-like. Can you please tell us, from a game design perspective, what is the identity for Chrono?
네, 말씀하신 것처럼
Yes, as you mentioned, Chrono initially takes on a theme park style structure.
처음에 테마파크형 형태를 취하고 있습니다. 그래서
The reason we initially designed it as a theme park style was
설계를 했던 이유는 처음에
when players are still unfamiliar with our game. Yo, Caleb, thank you for Prime, dude. Welcome to the gun show, bro. Yeah, sure, like you get into a new game, that's like a big thing, right? You get into a new game, you don't know what to do, you don't know the right way to do it. It's always good if you just do whatever you want, right? And it works to some degree. Graphically, will be more likely to stay in the game. It seems like there is. They talked about that in dev talk as well. Crafting seems to be an integral part of it. Well, also the actual gear system looked like it was more about crafting the gear than just getting the drops. I mean, there was gonna be some drop stuff, but it also sounded like they were gonna drop special materials from bosses that you use to then craft, so like intertwined. And then, of course, like in the crafting, you have like some RNG stuff, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing what that works as well. Crafting is super cool.
처음에 테마파크형 형태를 취하고 있습니다. 그래서 처음에는 테마파크형으로 설계를 했던 이유는 처음에 유저들이
Yeah, players are still unfamiliar with the game.
게임에 대해서 익숙하지 않을 때 이게 유저들에게
To serve as a guiding role for the players.
고민하는 역할. 우리 게임의 시스템.
It's structured to guide players by saying this is how game system work. Well, one of the things they talked about here earlier as well was this is something I missed from Diablo, right? I used to play a lot of Diablo 2 back in the days. And I remember, especially on the higher difficulties, sometimes you had to just go back and farm out more gear. You had to just like grind out some more gear, get some more levels before you could like beat Hell Mephisto, for example, the first time. Like things like that I thought was great. And that sounded like a bit like with the way Kanon was explaining the Void Gates. that you need X amount of power to be able to really transition into the next zone. And however you get to that point, that's up to you. So like I think that's pretty cool. That's a cool concept. Sort of like a gear check or level check onto the next zone, but the way you get to that point, it's up to you. It's kind of cool.
시스템은 이런 식으로 플레이를 하는 거다라는 어떤 견인하는 역할로서 만들어져 있고요. 그리고
And once players pass that section, it transitions into a sandbox style design. Yeah, so like it guides you to the end game, right? And then it's like even more sandbox.
그 구간을 지나게 되면 이제 샌드박스형으로 설계되어 있습니다. 이후에는
From that point onwards, player can explore multiple branching paths based on the preferred playstyle.
자기가 원하는
As long as the grind to get to the next area isn't a slog and unfun, that's okay. Yeah, like obviously that needs to be a thing.
방식에 따라서 여러 가지
That
분기를
point onwards, player can explore multiple branching paths based on the preferred playstyle.
토대로 이제 플레이를 해
Progressing and growing the character accordingly.
나가고 성장할 수 있도록 그렇게 만들어져 있습니다.
There are a lot of things I saw in Chrono Odyssey that are different from traditional MMOs. Can you tell us your thoughts on traditional Korean MMOs and how Chrono differs from them, if at all?
크로노 오디세이는
Chrono differs significantly from traditional Korean MMOs.
기존 한국형 MMORPG와 좀 많이 차이가 납니다. 기존의 한국
In traditional MMORPGs, Korean ones,
MMORPG에서는 엔드 컨텐츠
in-game content is often heavily focused on PvP. True. This is one of the things that I know BDO players don't like to accept. But it's one of the reasons why BDO is still doing so well, is that it transitioned away from that. BDO used to only endgame was PvP. That was the endgame focus. That was the node wars and sieges. That was what it was all about. There was really nothing else, right? You just got gear to do that. I think that's one of the reasons why BDO is still doing well and still alive. It's because they transitioned a bit away from that. They scaled that focus down and focused on more approachable gameplay, more different types of PvE, less cannibalistic in the open world PvP. And while that changed the game and ruined it for a lot of people, I think that's an integral part of why BDO is still doing well today. And I also think that's an integral part of why a lot of these other MMOs never popped off. It was because, well, they didn't change. So I think in the long run, the games have to go sort of like a less PvP focused route. So them starting, it's one of the things that makes me optimistic about this game. Is that they're starting to be like, okay, listen, we're not gonna just try and do what all the other ones are doing with the PvP. Oh, look at us with the next big PvP game. All PvP players get over here. Oh, it's gonna be amazing. There's gonna be all you're waiting for. And then 2 months down the line, the big guilds cannibalize everyone else because that's what players do. They win, right? They win to win. So they kill all the smaller guilds. They circ everything down. They, like basically the bicycle meme. Stick in their own wheel. Like, oh, why would the devs do this to us, right? So PvP should be like a thing in the game, and it can be a big thing in the game, but it can be detrimental to make a game around that. So this is what gives me a lot of hope with Chrono Odyssey long term as well. It's that, well, they're not doing that, at least from the beginning, right? They have some PvP content, but hopefully the game is just going to be good, and then you'll have PvP that's good in that.
콘텐츠가 PVP 위주로 만들어져 있는 경우가
And this, by the way, is coming from somebody that's been... I used to wake up, for anyone that don't know this, right? I am the best in class Awakening Warrior winner on NA. And I play from Denmark. I did that shit with 200 ping. I was like dueling 8 to 12 hours a day for 3 months straight for that tournament. I used to wake up 3 times a week at 3 a.m. Twice a week I did Node Wars on work days. And I had a full-time work waking up at 3 a.m. to do Node Wars twice a week, and then every Saturday for Siege as well for years. Like, I love PvP, I live for it, but yeah. You have to also look at what's then good long-term for the game. And if it's good for the game, then hopefully it could be good for the PvP as well. It's way more fun doing PvP in a game that's alive than one that's dead, if you know what I mean. And you gonna play field boss like kind of ours night? Yeah, because like you had to show up for the boys, right? Now we left with Watch Prime. Hey, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. We all get older and thinning out the hairline.
많은데 저희는 이 부분을
We design a game to have more PvE focus structured instead.
PvE
I'm really curious to see like what the PvE/PvP stuff is going to be about.
중심으로 좀 더 만들어진 형태이고요. 전통적인 RPG
In traditional RPGs, roles are clearly divided into tank, DPS, and healer.
방식에서는 탱, 딜, 힐로 극명하게 나눠지는 부분인데 저희
I'm not a fan of that, by the way. It's great for like boss fights and like dungeon-focused games, sure, but I like the way BDO does that. However, rather than strictly defining these roles, it seems like they're probably going to do similar, right?
이제 이쪽 그 역할에 대한 구분을 명확하게 하기보다는 좀 더
A game is designed to emphasize on unique action elements of combat.
전투 특유의 액션성을 좀 더 살리는 방향으로 설계되었습니다.
Does Chrono draw any inspiration from other MMORPGs in terms of game content design? If so, what games?
크로노 오디세이는
Oh, interesting if he's gonna name drop any games like specifically. I could see like companies wouldn't want to do that, basically highlighting their competition, but yeah. Personally,
첫 번째로 시공
was inspired by the classic RPG, Chrono Trigger. Oh, yeah, right. In terms of the time travel aspect, I remember them talking about this in another video.
시간을 여행한다는 부분에서 고전 RPG인 크로노 트리거의 영향을 받았고 크로노 오디세이에서만
And the equipment called Chrono Texture was exclusive to Chrono Odyssey. Planning on tanks, we gotta find a healer. I'm sure we'll be able to. Otherwise, maybe I play healer in the closed beta. Like perfect time to try something new. I might maybe I try Witch. Like that seems like that could be fun to try something completely different that I'm used to.
사용하는 장비인 크로노 텍터라는 부분은 젤다의 전설
Inspired by the Sheikah Slate from Legend of Zelda.
시커스톤에서 영감을 받았습니다. 오픈월드라는 부분
And for open world and combat elements, we took significant inspiration from Elden Ring. Okay, that's like the go-to with action combat, because it's like the most famous one, even though it's not action. Like we've seen the videos, right? It looks like they took some inspiration from BDO, which is that's good, right? That's good. That's a good thing.
과 전투의 부분에서는 엘든링의 영감을 많이 받았는데요.
But I think also like this game, they're trying to also like speak to the masses. They're not trying to steal BDO players, right? They're trying to branch out everything. And Elden Ring is just like the go-to, right? Everybody knows that. Well, it's just like it's the action combat and how your decisions are impactful, Haxby. And like dodging, avoiding hits, timing on attacks. It's just an easy to understand. You have to like view this as a non-BDO player watching this interview. Like Elden Ring globally is known for like the great combat. And a lot of it has to do with bosses, surely, but it's just the easiest explanation like for people. We saw in the videos, it's clearly BDO inspired, right? With the animations and speed and all that. Real chill, thank you, man. Welcome to the show, bro. Thank you for the prime.
오픈월드를 설계함에 있어서 엘든링의 어떤 의도된 결핍을 줌으로 인해서
In order to provide people,
사람들에게 유저들에게
right, the players,
생각지 못한
with unexpected experiences.
경험들을 좀 전달하고자 그렇게 설계를 했습니다.
Our experience in the beta test did not include the all-important endgame content or endgame loop.
Perfect. This is like one of the two things I am so curious about. I hope you can speak a bit to this because the endgame, the play loop, the gameplay loop, it has to be fun. It has to be enjoyable.
For an MMORPG, this is arguably the most important factor because it determines the day-to-day replayability. Is this fleshed out already? If so, can you tell us what we can expect?
Just don't be daily Odyssey. Not like, I'm fine that daily quests and daily stuff and weekly stuff exist in a game. There's a reason for it. Some of it is totally fine, but for the love of God, just don't be like daily quest Odyssey.
캐논 같은 경우 베타
In the case, Kanons, since you participated in the beta test,
테스트를 해보셔서 이제 그 분량에 대한 컨텐츠들을 아마 크로노가
You probably only experience a very limited portion of the content created for Chrono.
만들어 놓은 컨텐츠의 아주 부분적인 내용들만 플레이해 볼 수 있었을 텐데요. 저희 크로노 오디세이는
ChronoOdyssey has prepared a field approximately 4 times larger than we experienced in previous beta test. Well, we don't know how much that was, so that's meaningless for us at least. No, I'm not sure. I think they're slowly rolling out new.
그것과 먼저 있었던 베타 테스트의 분량보다 4배는 더 큰 필드를 준비해 두었고 엔드 컨텐츠에
And regarding the in-game content,
대한 부분들도 초반부에
since only part of the early game was playable,
대한 일부 플레이만 해볼 수 있었기 때문에 이후에
you'll later be able to experience dungeon content and multiplayer content with continuous growth loops.
던전 플레이나 멀티플레이에 대한 계속 루프되는 방식의 성장 컨텐츠도 플레이 해볼 수 있을 겁니다. 루프되는
Also, the looping content isn't limited to multiplayer content. Good.
어떤 컨텐츠
As much as I like group content, multiplayer content, sometimes like you want to be able, and this is the thing that really made me fall in love with BDO. You want to be able to sit down at your PC, log into your favorite game whenever you can, for however long you can, and play the game and feel like you're doing something meaningful. If I have 45 minutes at 1 a.m. in the morning, I want to be able to sit down and I want to play my favorite game for those 45 minutes and feel like I'm doing something meaningful in the game for my character, right? So it's super important, like not always being reliant on group content. Of course, bosses, dungeons is fun and all, and that's with other people, but like other alternatives and stuff you can do on your own, I think that's like a must-have in modern gaming, modern MMOs.
컨텐츠에 대해서 멀티 컨텐츠로만 있는 건 아니고요. 싱글 플레이어
For single players or players who prefer solo play,
싱글을 좋아하는 플레이어들이 또 엔드 이후
we created systems allowing single players to continuously grow and loop content even after reaching the end game. I'm wondering like what it means with like loop content. Like running the same dungeons over and over again is like I know they talked about it being an open world game, but is it going to be a Korean grinder? Yeah, like I'm dying to get some specifics here.
후에도 싱글 플레이어들이 계속해서 성장할 수 있는 루프할 수 있는 그런 시스템들도 마련되어 있습니다. 그래서 싱글 플레이어들은
Therefore, players who are hesitant or
멀티플레이에 대해서 좀 거부감이 있거나 좀
feel fatigued towards multiplayer
필요하다고 생각하는 분들은 싱글 플레이의
can enjoy solo looping content.
루프
Give me some loops to run, right? I like running in circles.
컨텐츠를 그리고 멀티플레이를
And those who prefer multiplayer can enjoy multiplayer looping content.
좋아하는 유저들은 멀티플레이의 컨텐츠를 루프 컨텐츠를 즐길 수 있도록 준비되어 있습니다.
Will there be dailies in Chrono Odyssey? What are your thoughts on dailies? Because the Western players, they're not really big fan. We are not really big fans of dailies.
I think dailies to some degree are fine and to another degree necessary. It's a great way of giving an initial value to people. They can weekly solo dailies. I agree. Like X amount of dailies per week or whatever, like or big weekly you can do instead. So you don't have to do it every day. But like it falls under the same category. A lot of times people say dailies, but they mean weekly as well. It's the same. There is advantage to it in different aspects. For example, it can be used to slow down end gamers. An example would be the deck accessories in BDO, where you had it limited. It wasn't exactly a daily or weekly, but you could only do X amount per week with the boss spawns. So it slowed down the people that were there, and then other people could like collect the materials for when they got to that point. So I mean, there is some value to it. It's also a way of people that can't play as much. You can put a lot of value on these. Let's just say weeklies, right? I'm not a big fan of dailies either, but like, a weekly quest you can do, you can put a lot of like lump sum value to it. So the guy that can only play the game 5 hours a week, well, he'll do that in 1 hour in the week and then 4 more hours something else. So he gets a big lump sum. And the other guy that can play 10 hours, well, he does that, then something like. So it's like it just lowers the difference between the other hours. That you have that initial big value. So there is some value to be had on it. But yeah, being forced to do them or anything like that. The T10 horse stuff, for example, is terrible. Having to do that all the time is like, make it feel valuable, make it feel worth it, and you can also do it fun. Like I look forward to every week where we run the bosses. Once a week, we group up, we do our bosses, we do the dungeons. It's fun, some group content. It's crazy good value, and it's just once a week, and I look forward to it every single week. So I think like that's a good implementation of it. And when it comes to like this boss stuff, it will get so boring if you just grind it. Then it just becomes like, So, like, I think there's definitely ways you can do it. Like, get a daily, only way to do something, give multiple ways to do something. Yes, exactly. And that's like, again, that's like the T10 stuff, right, Valk? There is a lot of ways you can do this where it's a good thing. But you shouldn't have a game where it's the gameplay loop. That's when it's like, yeah, no thanks. That's the daily desert or the chrono dailies, right? Nobody wants to do that.
일일 퀘스트 같은
In case of daily quest, we don't have any plans at the moment.
경우는 아직 계획하고 있는 건 없지만 가급적 유저들에게
And want to avoid giving players an experience that feels like doing chores. There it is, right? That's a sentiment. And then from there, if your sentiment is we don't want to have players feeling like they're doing chores in a video game. If that is their sentiment, then how they go about that is kind of irrelevant, right? Then you can do daily quests still or whatever, as long as your focus is to not make it feel like a chore playing your game. That should be the default right there.
숙제하는 경험을 주고 싶지 않습니다. 일일 퀘스트만
Personally, I also don't enjoy games where you log in every day and repeat the same daily quest. Not same. I hate every day having to log in and do my Imperials, for example. Like, I have this checklist when I log in the morning. Sell my fish, do my farms, do my Imperials, and check my workshop. Now, it doesn't take long, and some of it is okay. There's a bit of like, especially with the workshop, it's kind of nice because like, oh, you make sure, oh, I rolled these mats, so now we make this here. It's like it takes like a 2 minutes, and it's like it's okay. It's not. I don't feel like that's a chore, but I have like this checklist going through, and yeah,
하드웨어에 들어가서
I'm not a fan of that.
매일 똑같은 것들만 반복해야 하는 그런 게임들은 저도 좋아하지 않고 좀 그런
So instead of that, we're creating various types of content to allow players to freely enjoy the game.
쪽보다는 자유롭게 좀 플레이할 수 있도록 여러 가지의
Yeah, pitch should be weekly. Yeah, throw that in there. That's my fifth one.
콘텐츠들을 준비하는 형태로 제작하고 있습니다.
The beta test is coming soon. This beta test will only be the early game and limited to early game regions from my understanding. How much bigger can we expect the world to be at launch?
정식 출시
In terms of official launch specifications compared to the world size playable during the closed beta test, which hopefully we'll get to play.
스펙으로는 지금 클로즈 베타 때 플레이 해볼 수 있는
And then, yeah, we can do the comparison then when we actually get into the closed beta.
크기의 맵의
We prepared a map that's 4 times larger. Okay, so that's just the physical world he's talking about.
월드의 크기의 4배의 맵을 4배의 월드를
A world that's 4 times bigger.
준비해 둔 상황이고요. 그리고 그
In addition to the 4 main regions on the map.
4개의 리전을 이외에도 과거와
We prepared worlds for traveling to the past and future, which aren't just brief, short experiences.
미래에 대한 여행들이
I mean, it makes sense doing time travel when the game's called Chrono Odyssey.
되게 인스턴스한 아주 짧은 작은 규모가 아니라 거의 필드에 가까운
But nearly full-sized areas dedicated to time travel.
그런 시간 여행의 월드를 준비하고 있습니다.
Cool.
Gearing reminded me of vanilla Arcade, with workbenches and optionality for players to choose from. To add context, you would see a list of gear that you can craft and target farm the materials needed to craft said piece. You also had the option of farming different gear pieces via questing, field bosses, etc., giving players the freedom of choosing their own content. Chrono delivered this type of gearing experience in the beta test. Is this going to continue to be the case through the endgame?
네, 말씀하신
Regarding the gearing farming you mentioned,
장비 파밍에 관련돼서는 저희는 플레이를 하면서
there will clearly be players who prefer farming gear through gameplay.
파밍을 위주로 플레이하는 유저들이 분명히 있을 거고, 그리고 제작
And also players who prefer crafting gear. Yeah, me too, Valk. Like this is, and you know there's going to be an optimal way of doing it. There's going to be, oh, you want to do in that order, right? So first you do your world bosses, then you do your dungeons. Then if you have more time and you play all day, you go out and then you do gathering, right? If you want to min-max. But just having the options of, well, I'm not going to do bosses, I don't want to do group, I just want to go out and gather, and then you can still make progression in gear. I think that's cool.
제작을 위주로 하는 그 플레이어들이 있을 텐데요. 파밍이
Might try life skill in this game, you know. Try something new. If you like farming better,
더 좋다. 그리고 채집과
or you like craft items made through gathering and crafting,
제작을 통해서 만든 게 제작 아이템이 더 좋다에 대한 부분들을
regarding these points,
어떤 것도
we currently plan so that neither side has a definite advantage.
위에 두지 않으려고 지금 계획을 하고 있고요. 어느 한쪽이
Because if we lean too heavily towards one side, the content on the other side could collapse. Yeah.
쏠리게 되면은 한쪽 컨텐츠가 붕괴되기 때문에 파밍을
We have designed it to allow both types of players those who primary farm gear,
주도적으로 하는 유저들과 그리고 제작을 주도적으로 하는 유저들의 두 성향의
and those who primarily craft gear to fully experience growth.
모든 성장을 다 가져갈 수 있는 그렇게 설계를 하였습니다.
In the beta test, we didn't see a whole lot of options when it came to gear pieces. Is this intentional for simplicity reasons, or can we expect the launch version to include a lot more gear, allowing players to build more variety?
크로노 오디세이에서는
Chrono,
베타 테스트
only a very small portion was revealed during the beta test. Like I guess I can real quick talk about gearing. Like build diversity is, I think it's misused a lot. Just the fact that there is a lot of different items doesn't mean that there's a build diversity in the game. Right? The build diversity comes at different builds working better for and against other things. And also kind of depends, I guess, on the availability. Yeah, more is not always better.
때에서나 극히 일부만 공개됐고요. 그리고
Yeah, it means there's more chance of mistakes because there's only one says the right way. Yeah. It a lot of times it gives the people that have the knowledge the advantage. It also ends up being a lot of spreadsheet stuff. I know, like in World of Warcraft, gearing basically turned into a simulator. So you just plugged in your class and all that, and you just basically it simulated DPS, and it just told you which piece is the best. So like it can also be like too complex, right? There could be too many options where you need outside resources to tell you what's the best, and you just do that. There's no real choice here. You just need something to tell you what's the best, right? Also, you can have 20 items. People only want 2. Exactly. People will want the best. So just because there is more items again doesn't mean build diversity. So if there are different avenues where different items work better, and you can sort of like choose what you're building and everything, that could be cool. That could be cool. And also it looked like stats were random at times when crafting gear and upgrading them. So that could be something there as well, right?
저희
Prepared more details and extensive distinctions for levels and tiers.
레벨과 티어에 대한 구분들이 훨씬 더 조밀하게 많이 준비되어 있고 거기에 유니크
And this is through a system where unique perks
유니크 퍽을
can be extracted and Dude, it's so insane how they say this game has no pay to win. Everything they're doing with gearing just screams pay to win. I'm telling you, man, every single decision they've done with gearing in this game is like there's like an ideal avenue of putting in pay to win elements. Now, obviously, you can just not do that, right? You can totally make all of these things in-game achievable, something you can work on in-game for re-rolling stats, optimizing stats, optimizing, right, perks, whatever. Something you can actually do in the game rather than swiping to do it. So, I mean, it's like, that would be insane. But like the entire gear system is just, it's the perfect vessel for pay to win. But the say it's not going to be there, right? Like at this point here, the way they said it, I will go in optimistic about this. I think they might actually just pull it off.
전이할 수 있는 그리고 추출해서 전이할 수 있는 시스템을 통해서 아주
I will admit, I'm gonna at least play the closed beta here in like 10 days. And if the game is fun and everything, sure. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I wanna try the game first, right? It's not out yet, like, but the closed beta, I'm super excited to try that. Yeah, never pre-order, never pre-order. After Diablo 3, I swore never pre-order a game. Never pre-order. Diablo 3 ruined that for me. Players will experience a much deeper sense of progression upon launch.
깊은 성장감들을 이제 런칭 때는 만나보실 수 있을 것입니다.
Will there be super rare?
Yes, you can stream the closed beta. It's shareable, whatever. It's not under NDA, so we will be able to stream it. Will there be? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Rare chase items only few will have, or should we expect everyone at the end game to be relatively in the same gear in terms of power?
Chase. For sure, chase. You gotta have power differences.
네, 후자에 가까운 것 같고요. 엔드급 사기성 아이템.
We're trying to avoid overpowered in-game items. I mean, it doesn't have to be overpowered, as long as you have like some sort of advantage.
이것만
Here's the thing, right? When it comes to, this is why I think it's actually important to have these like super in-game stuff, like the chase in even win power. It shouldn't be oh, I have this item so I just win. Like Legos used to be in WoW back when I played like Lich King with the healing maze and Shadowmaw and things like that. Ooh, I had that. It shouldn't be like an I win item, but I think it's actually important having like a bit of power difference, because it's a great excuse for when you lose. Oh, if only I had more gear. Oh, if only, oh, that guy, he's gear carried. That's the only reason he won and I lost and I couldn't do this and he could do that, right? As long as you don't have to take personal responsibility of your failures, you can just be like, oh, well, it's something I can achieve. I just need to get that gear. And then boom, I'm good. Whereas getting good is way harder. This is why, like, I like to get a lot of gear and it was lag, right? Exactly. I'm 200 ping, guys. It's 200 ping. No, like, it's a lot easier to be like, okay, I'll just play the game. It's hard getting good at games. It takes effort. I don't want to do that. I just want to run in circles. Oh, I got enough. I got an upgrade now. Great, I'm stronger. Now I can beat that guy I couldn't beat before. So, like, I actually think it can be a good thing. Because then, yeah, you just play the game. Get more gear, problem solved.
얻으면은 거의 게임이 끝.
Cyber players playing, if I get this one item, game is pretty much finished. Oh yeah, you don't want that, right? That's not the stuff you want.
라고 생각하는 그런 아이템은 좀
Those are the kind of items to try to avoid. Okay, yeah, like, of course, you shouldn't have those. Like, you shouldn't have the OP stuff, but you should have, like, hard to achieve items. There's gears, anyone who beats me just geared? True.
지향하고 있습니다. 만렙을 달성하면
Our goal is to design horizontal progression as players reach max level and continue playing over time. Okay?
하고 오랜 시간 플레이할수록 좀 수평적으로 많은 성장을
What does that mean in this case here?
설계하는 것이 목표고요. 그리고 이 부분에서 좀 더
Additionally, we aim to deepen this aspect.
PP를 더하고 많은 형태의 성장을
Encourage various types of progression through diverse item combinations, leading to multiple builds and new metas. Oh, so he did talk about like perks on items. I wonder if you're gonna have items that enhances abilities, for example. Like you do that in Path of Exile, Diablo, and all that. You have like these items that does something, so you can add them together to make a special build, like a corpse explosion build or whatever, right? That would be interesting. That would be interesting, and I guess that would work in terms of side grades. Stuff like personal. He's talking about like multiple builds and new metas. That's not gonna be a visual one, Hody. That would be like an impact. So it could be something like different items that they say increase cold damage, and now you make a frost build, if that makes sense, right? So even if they're the same tier of items at max level, you can then have like side grades, but specialize in different builds for your class. I think that could be a really cool concept. I mean, to be fair, one is going to be better than everything else, right? But it's like at least fun exploring that when it's new before it's mapped out what's business. Like trying different builds the same class. Exactly. Yeah. Work towards also epic items in EQ, not just base dropping off. Yeah. Agreed.
유도하기 위해서 좀 더 다양한 아이템들의 조합으로 여러 가지 빌드나 새로운 메타들을 만들어 나가는 형태가 저희가 목표하고
ChronoOdyssey does that. Oh, there you go. So that could totally work.
있는 부분입니다.
Will Chrono be a longer or shorter grind? Will it be
Oh, there, yeah, more like BDO. Okay, yeah. Kanon, for people that don't know, did play BDO for a bit. That's how we know each other. Well, more like, yeah.
more like BDO, where the last few percentage of power is essentially impossible to obtain, or more like Throne Liberty, where after a few months, pretty much everyone is in the same gear, in terms of power, that is?
두 가지 형태에 다
I think both structures have the pros and cons. I was just about to say, yeah. The thing about BDO is that the gear is the content. So you have sort of infinite content in BDO because you have infinite gear. Well, obviously there's a cap, but it's like saying it's so hard to get the last few. So you always have some sort of content in, like, so you play the game, make silver progression, all that, for the gear progression. Whereas in other games, you get the gear to play the content. So like in BDO, it's sort of like flipped on its head. You play the content to get the gear, where in, let's say, World of Warcraft, right, you get the gear so you can do the content. And then you get more gear from the content. And then you're done. You wait for new content. But you got the gear so you can do the content. So there is pros and cons to both. In BDO, it's that there's a difference in gearing and power, but you always have something to work on. You can always work on that. Whereas if you get all the gear, you need stuff to use it on. And obviously you want stuff to use your gear on in BDO as well, right? But it is not as pressing of a matter. But if you get max gear in a game, well, now you want different types of content to go and do. And now you need a reason to go do it as well. So it puts a different pressure on releasing content as well. Is it going to be a game where you play it 3 weeks straight, no breaks, every 6 months? When it drops a new content, then you play that, you finish it, you do it, and then, okay, now I'll go do something else. Right.
장단점이 있다고 생각합니다. 하지만 저희는
We want to avoid tedious grind purely for the sake of progression.
성장을 위해 지루하게 그라인딩을 반복하는 것들을 좀 지양하고 있고요. 캐논님이 말씀하신 것처럼
As you mentioned, Canon,
좀
you think of it as structured design to improve upon the shortcomings of a shorter-term progression model.
단기적인 구조의 단점을 좀 보완한 형태라고 봐주시면 될 것 같습니다.
A lot of Western users do not
So it's not going to be like that infinite gear grind. They kind of alluded to that earlier with focusing more on side grades, like horizontal progression at the end game. So that like just puts a more pressure on the content there, being something that's repeatable and fun and having a reason to do it.
Enjoy the
Like season content means you can play other games more. Yeah. So for me, as somebody that's not gonna quit BDO, right? That would be perfect. I would love to play another game on the side, something I just like once in a while go super ham on, play that, new content dropped, perfect, let's go do that, and then go back and run in my circles, right? It is exactly good for playing all the games.
the gear enhancement systems that Korean MMOs traditionally produce. RNG systems with 1% or less chance to upgrade later on.
0.01%.
Gear downgrading or even completely breaking. I did not see any of those traditional systems present in Chrono. Spending hundreds of hours grinding at the end game only for a less than 1% chance to upgrade something doesn't really feel good or motivating to continue. What can we
I don't know, I love it, but I'm a masochist, so.
expect the gear enhancing systems to be like in Chrono?
저희 크로노 오디세이의 강화
Autism in Chrono Odyssey
시스템은 강화를
is designed to provide satisfaction through enhancing gear.
통해서 만족감을 얻기
So they already showed that in Dev Talk. Definitely some gear enhancing and also random stats for crafting, right?
위해서 설계되었지. 그걸 위해서
It's certainly not designed to give players frustration, fatigue, or disappointment due to probabilities.
어떤 확률이나 피로감이나 좌절감을 맛보기 위해서 그렇게 설계된 형태는 아니라고 봐주시면 될 것 같습니다. 저희 강화
In our enhancement process, you won't encounter any complicated unfair mechanics.
과정에서 복잡하거나
Yeah, I guess one way of doing that is having a 100% upgrade chance and then just have the mats go up. So you can still just average out just how many hours of grinding would it take to get one upgrade. And then you could either like drop a lot of the mats to upgrade and then lower the probability on every tap to become the same number, or 100% chance, but you need X amount and you get X amount an hour, boom, there you go. So you can totally just like average and even these numbers out and find a balance with this.
불합리한 그런 형태는 절대
So it's still like an effort to get it, it's just not RNG based.
만나보실 수 없을 것이고요. 그런 요소들은
You can think of an enhancement system as one where we completely eliminated such element. Average equals play. I mean, for me it is, right? This will be a huge song. You guys don't understand how strong I'm going to be in a game like this. If I can't get screwed by RNG, I'm gonna be a god.
저희 철저하게 배제한 형태의 강화라고 봐주시면 될 것 같습니다. 저희 강화에서는
Enhancements do not include scenarios like items breaking
뭐 아이템이 부서지거나 그리고
or perks attaching an extremely low probability.
너무 극악의 확률로 뭐 퍽이 붙는다든지 이런 형태는
These type of mechanics are entirely avoided.
완전 지양하고 있고요. 좀 더 그냥 유저들이
Instead, designed so players feel a sense of reasonable progression through enhancements.
강화를 통해서 합리적이라고 생각되는 그런 어떤 성장감을 받아들일 수 있도록 그렇게 설계하고 있습니다.
As someone who has played a lot of MMOs and prefers expansive build optionality, I also understand this could be overwhelming for others who prefer simpler systems. We talked about the gear building optionality, but I want to ask you about the skill building optionality or the skills tree. From what I saw, the skill tree options were pretty straightforward and there weren't a ton of options. Of course, choosing 2 weapons naturally gives you double the options, but the tree itself isn't exactly large. Should we expect more to come, or is the goal to streamline this to make it less overwhelming and easier to understand?
저희 크로노
Interesting. So that's something I haven't really seen anything about. The stuff here, like the amount of abilities you have and everything. It's just only been from the videos, right? Gameplay stuff. So I'm kind of curious, like how many combat options, because this ties into combat, right? More abilities probably means more spells, more stuff you can do, more combo, more combat. Yeah. Design the goal of easy to learn, hard to master. They all everybody says that. Everybody fucking says that.
크로노 오디세이는 easy to learn, hard to master라는 목표로 설계를 했고요. 처음에는 쉽게 쉬운
It's not out easy to design the combat so players can progress through a simple structure.
구조로 성장할 수 있게끔 전투를 설계했지만 깊이를 더하거나
But for users who wish to delve deeper into the game,
좀 더 깊이 있게 파고드는 유저들을 위해서 뒤로 갈수록
we currently designed it so that as you progress further, you can create your own builds and metas. Okay?
자기만의 빌드와 메타를 만들 수 있는 형태로 그런 구조로 지금 설계하고 있습니다.
One of the most commonly asked questions I now ask to you. Is this game more PvE focused?
I want to go back here with this real quick. As further, you can create your own builds and metas. I think maybe it's because we haven't played the beta, right? So Canon has a bit more experience with this. That's why he probably understands the answer better. But are we talking about more abilities to use? Having okay, so just more abilities to use doesn't mean it's better. Again, you have a lot of abilities on classes in BDO, but a lot of them you don't use. They're just dead, right? They used to be used back in the day, but now it's you don't. You still use a lot, right? Definitely 20 plus abilities per class. But are you gonna get kick, right? Are you gonna get more abilities over time, or can you just enhance the different abilities and change them? You do want to have some useful abilities and options in your structuring of combos and damage and utility and everything. So this is one of the things that for me I probably won't understand until we get to play it, right? Abilities would involve to create a build. Yeah, I guess again, if there's just a lot of options then. But it sounded like there wasn't a lot of options to begin with. But if you have, for your class, understand you have different weapons you can choose for your class. So in that sense, you can use, say for war, you can use a shield and a two-handed sword. And I think there's a third one as well. So you can choose those, I guess, which ones you want, and then make a build from that, get some abilities with that, and that can change and all. But yeah, this is one of those where I feel like we have to try it to know. PvE focused or PvP focused? Well, we know it's going to be PvE focused with elements of PvP in it, right?
PvP focused.
크로노디세이 처음 개발을
When we first started designing Chrono, we spent a lot of time considering how much weight to put in this aspect.
설계할 때부터 이 부분을 비중을 어떻게 둘지를 되게 고민을 많이 했었는데 PvP
Specifically, user per PvP turned out to be only about 5%. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Only around 5 to 10%. I don't think it's too far off the West as well, Piero.
PvP를 좋아하는 유저들이 생각보다 현재 그 통계상으로 되게
And also, do remember this is prefer PvP. It's not enjoys PvP. So what's the focus here? It sounds about right to me as well. A lot of people prefer PvE and then being able to do PvP.
되게 5%나 10% 정도밖에 안 된다라는 통계를
Based on these statistics,
기준으로 해서 좀 더
we decided to design our content with more of a PvE focus. Also, you just look at it globally as well. What are the two most popular MMOs in the world, right? World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy, I think. PvE games. Of course, there's PvP elements. I know nobody plays in Final Fantasy, but it's PvE games. Yeah, that's just what people prefer. It's just easier to sit in and do. It's less stressful. Most people just kick back, come home from work, and want to play some video games. Don't want to stress out, and then sometimes they want to stress out with PvP. Again, this goes back to why I have a really good feeling about this game. They're just accepting people want this and make a good game focused on PvE, and then have PvPs PvP stuff in it. I think that's the best way of doing it. We decided to design the content with more of a PvE focus.
저희 컨텐츠에 PvE 중심으로 설계를 했습니다. 좀 더 그
for the enjoyment of the small majority who prefer PvP.
PvP를 좋아하는 어떤 몇몇 소수 분들의 어떤 즐거움을 위해서 PvE를 좋아하는
We made sure players who prefer PvE wouldn't experience fatigue or frustration.
유저분들이 거기에 대한 어떤
So no griefing, boys. ChronoOdyssey said it's gonna be okay.
피로감,
be fine.
좌절감을 맛보지 않도록 PvE 중심으로
So ChronoOdyssey was developed with a strong PvE emphasis.
크로노 오디세이는 만들어졌습니다.
What kind of PvE content can we expect at the end game of Chrono Odyssey?
크로노 오디세이에서는
In Chrono, we have prepared 10-player raids and 5-player party dungeons. Okay, so we need to find 9 people that can carry me. Huh. We'll figure it out.
10인 레이드와 5인 파티 던전이 준비되어 있고요.
Yeah, 10-man raids and 5-man dungeons. They often imagine something much more massive, involving many more people.
많은 인원들이 좀 들어오는 걸 생각을 할 텐데 저희 같은 신규 IP.
But for new IP games like ours,
그 게임들은
it's a good choice.
좀 많은 인원들이.
Actually, our numbers of players can be quite challenging, and this aspect also like it's more frustrating. There's more people standing in flames, wiping everyone, and your personal impact becomes less the more people are there. It is what it is. You will never be important for winning, but you can be the reason for a loss when there's more people there.
를 매칭하는 부분이 좀 어렵다는 부분도 있고, 그리고 이 부분에서 유저들도 매칭.
Return players might feel fatigue when matching doesn't go smooth.
안 됐을 때 피로감을 느낄 수 있다고 판단해서 10인 레이드를 준비를 하고 있습니다.
There are very clear tank and support roles or skills, at the very least, that are that's in Chrono Odyssey. Will the dungeon raid experience feature a classic holy trinity?
He did already say no, right?
아마 역할에 대한.
When it comes to RPGs, most people probably think of can I just do this? Clearly defined roles. Rather than clearly dividing roles into tank, DPS, and healer, we placed more focus on allowing players to enjoy a wider variety of builds. Awesome. And play according to the preferred style. And I guess this goes into sort of like the build diversity. So doing it this way makes a lot of sense. It just clicked for me right now. If you don't, like, if your class have different build options, and you can make different like item builds and everything like that, right? So you could specialize for like a tank warrior or a DPS warrior. So you could fill a role on your class in different situations, but you're not like pigeonholed into being that thing. Yeah, like that could be totally work, right? But obviously not like, I hope they don't do tank in the World of Warcraft sense, like just a more tanky class. I like the way BDO does it, where you have like solo power always, right? It's more focused on allowing players to enjoy variance, to play according to the preferred style. But that doesn't mean roles like tank and DPS or tank and healer don't exist. These roles are currently designed to fully function within multiplayer gameplay. Ultimately, it's prepared so players can gradually create more diverse builds based on their individuality or playstyle. It's designed to allow players to do so. You can think of it as a system intended to encourage more freedom in combination and playstyle.
A little bit about the PvP. Now, aside from the dueling, PvP during the beta was an opt-in system that allowed players to kill anyone else that was flagged for PvP in the open world.
If they put like a reason to flag up, like if they do it so you have increased drop chances or something like that, if you flag up, and let's say you are in your town, and if you can only flag up in town, right? You flag up, you go out. I've heard about this before. It's not like my idea, right? I've definitely heard about this. I don't know what games does it. But like, so you can do that, go out and grind. That could be something, right? I think most people are just gonna opt out of it still. That's just the way, again, this goes back to that 5-10%. Most people don't want to deal with it. And a lot of people might want to deal with it, but this is just a truth, universal truth. Give people the option and they will choose the path of least resistance. So there's gonna be like 5 of us that flags up, right? New World did it, so did Rift. Okay, yeah, so that's probably what they're doing then. Which I think is great. Put some advantage if you do it, right? So there's a reason to do it and have that risk reward.
It was fun, but the balance honestly wasn't that great, and it certainly had a lot of improving to do in terms of polish. Is this something that you guys intend on focusing on, or have maybe already focused on? Or will this be more of like a Diablo 4 PvP approach where it's just side content and deliberately not balanced?
저희 게임에서
In our game, PvP
선택적으로
will be structured so players can optionally choose to participate.
하고요. 이 PvP
We're ensuring that the PvP experience doesn't become unpleasant.
되지 않도록
Huh? I thought that was the point of PvP. Ah! I thought the point of PvP is make it unpleasant for your opponent, right? You can think of a content prepared specifically so that only players who wish to participate in PvP will do so.
플레이를 진행할 수 있도록 그런 콘텐츠가 마련되어 있는 형태라고 봐주시면 됩니다. PvE
Although the game is more focused on PvE, you can consider that we still prepare content players can enjoy PvP.
봐주시면 될 것 같습니다.
What kind of PvP content can we expect at the end game then?
엔드 콘텐츠
For endgame content, prepare freely contested zones for PvP.
분쟁 지역이 준비되어 있고요. 자유 분쟁
In these freely contested zones, conflicts can occur even without explicitly talking PvP on and off. Yeah, open world PvP, yeah. And in specific zones, I guess like Asha channel, but for zones. So you go into like a zone, and now like basically you can PvP if you want to. I like that.
만드는 어떤 지역을 만들 거고 그리고
Additionally, for PvEVP content,
컨텐츠가 에덴이라는
prepared content called Eden.
The PvP zones that you're referring to, will they actually have any significance, or is it just going to be kind of side content? Is there actual value in going into those zones?
자유 분쟁 지역 같은 경우는
In the case of freely contested zones,
더 PvE
they're selectively designed specifically for users who enjoy PvP, so only those who want to participate will go there. Yeah, like I like getting something for PvP as well. PvP for the sake of PvP. I guess it's fun if you don't. I guess that's one of the things that makes it feel less good in BDO. It's that you have other things you could be doing with your time that would be sort of valuable because you have this infinite progression loop. So if you go and do PvP, right, you feel like you need to be rewarded for it because otherwise you fall behind on gearing. And that could just not be the case here, so it could just be fun, right? There's some gear stuff? Okay.
되어 있는 어떤 좀 선택적으로 원하는 유저들만 가도록 좀 그렇게 설계되었고요. PvE
The PvP content that we are preparing
그냥
isn't designed as optional content that you can simply choose to do or not. Okay.
어떤 그런 컨텐츠가 아니라 좀 더
Instead, it's structured to be close tied to character progression in Chrono. Okay.
크로노의 성장과 연결되어 있는 구조로 설계하고 있습니다. PvEVP인
Resource or progression items obtained from the Eden PvP, EVP, PvP content will be play a significant and important role in progression within Chrono. So no forced PvP, but yes, forced PvP. Well, the difference is that you're forced to do the content with PvP. So you are basically, you have to opt in for the PvP content at the time when you're doing it, but you won't get PvP'd outside of that if you don't want to be PvP. When you want to do other stuff, you do that. So yes, but not really.
작용하게 될 것입니다.
그 혹시 거기
Or like Cyril and Iso. I don't know.
여기서
네.
그 약간 그 PvP 존에서 약간 레어 아이템 같은
Wait, is he speaking Korean now? Wait, he just switched to Korean. Okay. I guess you wanted to further ask questions to it. That was like outside of the script. This part, yeah, exactly. This part isn't scripted. Okay. Let's go back.
좀 중요한
We'll play a significant important role in progression within Chrono.
그 혹시 거기서
Then in the PvP zones,
약간 그 PvP 존에서 약간
players can farm rare items or
레어
resources.
아이템 같은 거나 뭐 리소스 같은 거를 파밍을 할 수 있는 그런 것도 있나요?
네, 있습니다.
Yes, they can.
에덴 컨텐츠에서만
There are items that can only be upgraded through the Eden content.
아이템 그리고 거기서만 고유하게 성장할
And you have items that can only be upgraded there.
에덴
And once players obtain unique progression items in Eden, they can effectively use them when playing the fields of Chrono Odyssey.
이제 플레이를 할 때도 그
네.
성장 아이템을
Those progression items are designed to be effectively applied.
유효하게 돼 있습니다.
One more question on the PvP. Will you or would you consider adding Battlegrounds or Arena to Chrono Odyssey?
I listen, I love open world PvP, but I also love competitive PvP. Like, ranked arena is awesome.
PvP를 좋아하는 유저들
For players who enjoy PvP, we currently have freely contested zones prepared. Oh, but I do want to say, like, I would prefer like the open world stuff and then the ranked arena stuff coming later, because it puts like way more pressure on class balance when you do ranked stuff. If it's just chaotic open worlds stuff like that, well, there's a bit more leeway in imbalances. And you don't want to get bogged down early on in a game about people going crazy about PvP balance when it's not even the main focus of the game. So I hope they do it over time, but I don't think it's necessary from the get-go.
를 위한 컨텐츠로 지금 자유분쟁 지역이 준비되어 있고 PvE, EVP 컨텐츠가 준비되어 있는.
So they have the current content period that they talked about. We're continuously considering this aspect.
고민하고 있는 중이고요. PvP
And since it's already structured to support PvP,
이 내용
it's easy for us to create models like 3v3 or 5v5 PvP content. I mean, it's like, I'm gonna be honest, like, it's all the stuff I'm like, I say I want to hear. That's like, what the fuck? Did he pre-watch my reaction or what's going on here? What is this? This dev is tuned in.
할 수 있는 구조는 쉽게 만들 수 있습니다.
Based on the content,
이번
depending on feedback from the closed beta.
따라서 이 부분을 어떤 식으로 좀 더
Plan to decide how to further develop this aspect.
발전시켜 나갈지 계획을 잡을 생각입니다.
It's been mentioned before that this game will focus much more on solo player experiences, leading people to believe it will be more in line with a BDO-like experience where the majority of your time is spent doing things on your own. This is the polar opposite of Throne and Liberty, where everything you do is pretty much in a group.
I much prefer the BDO approach, personally.
Where does Chrono Odyssey lie?
정확히 크로노 오디세이
During the game development process of Chrono Odyssey, whether this goal is probably reflected and experienced by the players, we're not entirely sure, but
싱글
we prepared content allowing both single-player users and multiplayer users to grow. Oh, they talk about this, right? They want like both paths available, and you do whatever you want, right? I think that's the best way of doing it, and the multiplayer aspect should be slightly better, because it takes more effort to get a group going.
을 다 할 수 있도록 콘텐츠를 마련했고요. 싱글 플레이 유저들이
While there are various types of content structures specifically for single-player users to continuously progress,
들이 여러 가지로 마련되어 있는 반면에 멀티플레이
we also prepared content designed for multiple users to enjoy group play.
이겨낼 수 있는 그런 콘텐츠들이 준비되어 있습니다. 싱글 플레이
For single-player users, content like Chronogate and Trials apply.
실현 같은 콘텐츠가 그에 해당하고요.
And for multiple users, examples include raids and or expedition dungeons.
같은 것들이 그 예시라고 봐주시면 될 것 같습니다.
In the beta test, there weren't a whole lot of guild systems or content. What kind of guild systems or content can we expect to see in the live version that you could share with us today?
현재 크로노
Currently, the guild system in Chrono functions mostly as a social feature. We're still planning on reviewing further ways to expand upon the guild-related features.
또 계획하고 있고 검토하고 있는 중입니다.
In the live version, will there be an open economy system utilizing open trade and auction house, or will there be limitations in bound elements?
Open trade is just yeah, like, okay, he says, hey, if there's an open system, how will you combat botting? Right, that's the thing. Open trading just invites botting and RNGing. As much as it sucks taking that MMO element out of it, the amount of work and effort goes into the banning of all of this, like, I don't know, like, it would be cool if they could just do it, but is it realistic? Probably not.
There is an open system. How will you combat botting?
경매장을 있고 개인 거래는
We have an auction house, but direct player trading isn't currently allowed. Okay, good. There are bound items as well.
이 부분에서
The reason we didn't support direct player trading is because we've seen many cases
지원하지 않는 이유는 경제
where economic systems were negatively impacted by direct player trading. This was one of the biggest things to get used to when I started playing BDO from World of Warcraft. It was like not being able to trade. I hated it. I thought it was so weird. It was annoying. And I leveled up with my brother and some friends. And like, oh, I remember my brother played Zerker. I played Witch, right? So I remember getting a Zerker offhand. As like a green was like, oh my god, dude, I got an offhand for you. Trade me. And it was like, I was like, wait, why can't I give you the offhand? And that felt so bad. But like, that was also the optics, right? I didn't understand the game. I didn't understand how irrelevant that shit was. Getting that green offhand, right, as a drop. But yeah, it took that MMO feel out of the game. But in the long run and for the health of the game, I'm a huge supporter of this now. I'm very happy that's the case. The botting and everything would go crazy with open trading. So as much as I miss that, I do think it's good long term.
에서 망가져
To restrict the structure economy without direct player trading.
좀 엄격하게 저희는 개인 거래를 하지 않는 형태로 구성되고 있습니다.
One of the biggest issues I found with the game personally were some of the quality of life features mainly related to UI things that felt more in line with single-player RPG games or console, and less traditional MMO PC MMORPG. An example would be the partying up with your friends system. Were these things changed or improved from the previous beta test?
We completely understand this issue. Since our UI system supports both controllers and keyboard mouse simultaneously, oh god, that's one of the things I hated when BDO started doing that as well. Like just unifying the UI and everything. Like stuff that works with controllers, it just looks terrible.
때문에 키보드 마우스 같은
In the case of keyboard and mouse, there are so many possible input methods. We're focused on developing around controls rather than keyboard mouse, yeah.
하고 있는 중이고요. 컨트롤러
That's what you have to do because it works probably on controls. Yeah, of course.
키보드 마우스에서는
Naturally, it'll work well on keyboard mouse too.
컨트롤 할 수 있기 때문에 컨트롤러 위주
As for general primary around controls, the UI and UX currently feels more tailored towards single-player experiences.
의 어떤 UI, UX
Whatever that means, but yeah.
보이고 있는 중이고요. 이로 인해서 좀
Also gathered lots of feedback talking about inconveniences arising from this.
상태이고 계속 끊임없이 이 부분은
And we continue to revise and improving upon this aspect.
중입니다.
Another major concern I have is with density. Chrono is a true open world, and gathering resources is a major part of the game. Chrono will for sure have
That's cool.
thousands of players on each server, and players will absolutely be contesting each other for these resources.
Just put the best resources at endgame in these open world PvP zones and let players sort it out themselves. Problem solved.
Two words I know that you will understand, along with the beta testers: red trees. Imagine thousands of us trying to chop down red trees. Please tell me, what are your plans to address the density issue?
베타
Since only some regions were playable during the beta test, you probably felt significantly competition over gathering materials within these limited areas. Also felt it strongly regarding respawns. So this here is always a problem, like early on when a game launches, there's so many people condensed in. And then normally it spreads out a lot more in mid-game, but then towards end-game, you might have similar issues. Which is why I think it would be great putting some of the best and rarest resources into that PvP area. Then you can fight over the resources, instead of just like gating each other out. We believe that when we lost with a field encompassing much broader areas, these issues will be alleviated. It will ensure rare items remain appropriately rare.
몬스터의
And in aspects like monsters respawn time,
스케일링 할 수
we plan to resolve this. Oh, that was quick. Solve this using a scaling system that automatically adjusts when many players gather
그리고
and control respawn times. Okay.
대비해서 리스폰 시간을 제어할 수
in proportion to the number of players present.
그런 스케일링 시스템으로 저희는 해소해 나갈 계획입니다.
The version we played had no mini-map and only a compass forcing players to hit M to pull up the map often to figure out their location. I've recently taken a poll on my YouTube which consists primarily of MMO players and what they prefer. The overwhelming majority prefer having a mini-map. I want to ask you this directly. What is the intent for not having one, and will you consider adding it based on these numbers?
So, only 6% preferred not having... Yeah, okay. So, in my opinion, right, if you can just quickly open your map anyway, for the big map, then have a mini-map. If you're trying to go with a, like, immersion aspect, then you shouldn't be able to just fast and easily open your map anyway. Then it just becomes an inconvenience to do so. Then there should be something like, so it takes time, and then you don't want to do it, so you sort of have a value of trying to orient you within the game with a compass and all like that. Well, if you still have the map, then you're not forced to explore. If the full map is just easily available, instantly pop up, you can click M, it has to keep you sort of like out of it. So I can see, but then you just look at the map. Exactly, and then there's no point to not having the minimap bulk. If you could just look at your map instead, then just give us the minimap. But if there's another barrier of entry to just opening the full map, at which makes you not want to do it, then there could be a reason to not have the minimap in the game, and to force you to be immersed and look around. That's what I'm trying to say.
These numbers being, by the way, only 6% preferred not having a minimap, only 6.
저도 미니맵이 더 편.
I also find minimap more convenient. I also prefer having a minimap.
설계한
But during the design process, we seriously debated whether to choose a minimap or a compass.
번째는
First of all, we didn't want to place too much system-related information on the HUD, since the game emphasizes action-oriented gameplay. We tried to avoid UI elements that occupy too much space on the HUD by intentionally limiting the information provided, rather than having players write too much on systems.
좀더
Wanted players to feel more immersed that the characters played as if they're themselves, and that's why I chose the compass. Again, like if there's like some barrier of entry to using the full map, then it can make sense. But if you're just constantly clicking M and you pop up anyway, like then it's silly.
기를 원하는 그런 의도에서 나치판을 선택하게 되었습니다.
Let's address the elephant in the room, the monetization.
We
I'm
already
going
watched
to tell
this.
you what every Western MMO
So we're gonna skip
player
this
is
part.
thinking and wondering.
Link in the description for the full reaction.
한 번 더 말씀드리겠습니다.
Well, I genuinely hope that Chrono Studio sets the new standard for these MMORPGs that are coming up. How many people are you expecting to have in the closed beta test?
이번 클로즈
We're expecting around 1 million participants for this closed beta test.
한 100만 정도로 생각하고 있습니다. 이 부분은
This number reflects our confidence in the game. But it's also based on the impact
공개했을 때의 어떤 파급력이나 조회수
and views we've received from our released videos based on these numbers. I think they'll get it, right? It's a stress test as well. Yeah, but you still need 1 million people that want to play the game. One thing is like they're willing to do 1 million. Another thing, getting 1 million people to sign up for the closed beta. That's crazy. Imagine actually reaching 1 million players doing a closed beta.
충분히 가능할 거라고 생각.
Beta's goal is very achievable.
MMO I've ever seen put this much value into Western feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much, right?
If I may say, the devs held a Discord call at the end of our previous beta test with a translator to communicate with us global users directly. This was really encouraging for us because it's not something that we're used to seeing with Korean game developers. I'm pretty sure it's the first time Westerners were able to communicate feedback.
Yeah, Jay says hi. He wanted to get my direct feedback on something. So we're nerfing Warrior next week. Tune in on Friday, Global Up, guys. War is finally getting nerfed. I just got Jay on the phone there. It's confirmed.
Back directly with Korean devs who were seeking. First, I want to tell you that we genuinely appreciate the effort that you've given us in seeking our feedback here in the West. And I'd like to ask you, will we be getting a true global launch, or will the Korean version be releasing first for Chrono Odyssey?
Are you telling me that a Korean MMO might release stuff globally? What a crazy concept. Like the entire game, like we'll see what it says, right? But like we know his answer. Are you telling me a full game can release globally, but an expansion cannot? Wow, like how, like this is crazy. Do they have like some new technology? A full game? Surely we can get expansion as a global release and not 6 to 9 months after Korea. After 10 years. Like, surely there must be some new technology out there.
Also, will updates be globally launched?
Oh, and updates too? Okay. To be fair, like we got the updates now globally. Only took them 9 years.
Or will Korea get the updates first?
먼저 제가 감사드리고
First, I want to thank you is after the first global test, I don't know, within doing our interactions with the users who participated in the playtest.
플레이 테스트에 참여한 유저들과 소통하는 자리에서 진심
I was genuinely moved.
부분이 있었어요. 좀
Well, generally to help ensure the success of this game.
그래서 수많은
So many people provided so much feedback, and finally, many people sent messages through Discord,
메시지들이
cheering for the successful completion of the game.
왔는데 게임을
As someone who develops games, it was my first time feeling so deeply moved by something like that.
오랫동안
Although I've been developing games for a long time,
좀 그
that part really got to me emotionally.
이 부분은
And I was deeply expressive experience for me. And our Chrono Odyssey, excluding certain countries, aims for a simultaneously global launch.
큰 감명이 깊은 경험이었습니다. 저희
And the game,
크로노오디세이는 일부
excluding certain countries, makes sense. There's probably some countries where they can't. China, maybe, who knows? That like there's North Korea, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if China is later because of how it works there. Everyone except there. Let's not. No. Like we will man the longboats. It could be Russia. It could be China. There's of course some countries where there's more. It seems like aims for a simultaneously global launch. That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to hear. It can be done apparently. Who knew? Apparently Korea has the global launch technology now. Hopefully they share it with other countries, man.
국가를 제외한 전 세계 동시 출시를 목표로 하고 있습니다. 출시 이후
We also aim for synchronized global updates after release. So updates will happen simultaneously without regional disparities.
I know I probably will not be getting an answer to, but I'm going to ask it anyways, just so that I can tell you guys that.
What a crazy concept! For anyone that doesn't know and doesn't play BDO, we've been getting our updates later for years and years and years. We used to get the weekly updates a week after Korea. They changed that, I want to say like less than a year ago. So now we get it a day after Korea on the weekly updates. But expansions, we get like 3 to 9 months after Korea, which is like just a travesty. And we get a new expansion that we're expecting to be announced here at Heidelberg the 28th. The Demon Region expansion, which is probably the most hyped expansion in the history of this game. It's something that's been building for like 5 years now. And I mean, again, we're just hoping to do a global expansion, but they've never done one. So, yeah. But apparently it's possible. Who would have guessed?
But I've asked it. When can we expect the global launch to be?
이 부분은 공식적으로 아직
Okay, so this is a big question, right? The global launch, we know that there's going to be the closed beta here, I think from the 20th of June to 23rd. But when does it actually launch, right? So there is no official, we can't officially discuss it yet.
말씀드리기 힘든 부분입니다. 하지만
However, based on the feedback from closed beta, we're focused even more on incorporating player feedback as developers.
개발자로서 집중할 것이고요. 그리고
And regarding news about the launch,
추후 별도로
we prepare to announce it separately in another form at a later date.
안내 드릴 수 있도록 준비하겠습니다.
That's pretty
Do we know if it's gonna be this year? I think they were planning, like, I'm pretty sure I've heard 2025 as a date previously, but I guess, like, they don't even, like, say the year anymore, right? Q4 20, that's what I heard as well, but, I mean, he didn't even say that or indicate that. Unless something goes wrong, it's this year's. Okay. That's what I'd heard as well. I thought he would gonna, like, say that on this one as well. It's all good, like, I remember hearing that as well, Turk. I appreciate it, though.
pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Really, some right after Azure creation? Don't.
We really appreciate it, and I'm sure the global audience is going to be ecstatic hearing all of these answers. 시간을 내주셔서 너무 감사합니다.
Thanks so much for your time.
감사합니다.
As I mentioned in the
감사합니다.
video, that's pretty much it, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts.
You heard the man. Like and subscribe.
Of course, in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch, and remember, there's a lot more Chrono content coming very soon.
And so is there here, so don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on Twitch. Twitch uses Biceptimusprime. And yeah, I can't wait to play this game as well and try it out.